Hello everyone, and I welcome everyone for this second lecture of first day, that is types of remote sensing and sensor characteristics. So the learning objectives for this lecture are, first of all, we will learn the what are the different types of remote sensing, then how we can differentiate the different remote types of remote sensing on the basis of platforms, on the basis of orbit of remote sensing satellites. And then we will see the sensor characteristics, the resolutions of remote sensing satellites. So let's begin. So remote sensing is a complex technique and may vary based on the application and technological development. Considering technological development, for example, in the earlier days of remote sensing was performed from balloons. As we have discussed earlier in the lecture, the first lecture, that the first remote sensing was done using the balloons. But nowadays, satellites are being used. So our lecture is basically based on the satellite remote sensing only. So the earlier photographic cameras remained the only option, but nowadays digital cameras, sensors are dominating. So considering application, for example, mapping purpose can be fulfilled by the optical images, but information about temperatures needs thermal images. Like, for example, if we are studying about the coral reefs, so the temperature of the ocean is also very important for the coral reefs. So, if we are studying the coral reef, then we want the temperature. So, for that, the remote sensing using the satellites is used. So the remote sensing may be classified from many perspectives, from, for example, based on platform, source of energy, number of bands, orbiting characteristics of satellites, etc. So the in this lecture we are basically focusing on the on the classification of platforms and sensors on the base of platforms, and the second will be the orbital characteristics of the satellites. So based on platforms and sensors, we have basically three types of remote sensor. First is the ground-based platform sensors. So ground-based platform sensors are often used to record detailed information about the surface, that is compared with the information collected from aircrafts or satellite sensors. In some cases, this can be used to better characterize the target that is being imaged by these other sensors, making it possible to better understand the information in the imagery. Sensors may be placed on a ladder, scaffolding, tall buildings, cherry pickers, crane, etc., and can be mounted on the vehicles also. So however, the remote sensed data are mainly collected either from the platforms flying within the Earth's atmosphere, that is the airborne platforms. So the platforms within the air are called the aerial or airborne platforms. And the platforms in the space are called the spaceborne platforms. So different aerial platforms are balloons, kites, pigeon, aircrafts, etc. So, but aircrafts are generally used, and these airborne platforms are used to acquire aerial photographs. An aircraft is a vehicle which is able to fly supported by the air. So then we have the space-borne platforms. Space-borne platforms are generally mostly used because it is not affected by the Earth's atmosphere. It keeps on moving in an orbit around the Earth's surface, and it gives the information of all the Earth. So in space, remote sensing is conducted mainly from satellite, and it is called satellite remote sensing. It is also known as satellite-borne remote sensing. Satellites are objects which revolve around another object. In this case, the Earth. Our natural satellite is Moon, and the satellites that we launched and placed in an orbit are known as the artificial satellites. And with the help of these artificial or man-made satellites only, the remote sensing is being done. So remote sensing in space may be performed from space stations such as International Space Station. However, it is a rare case. Other rarely used platforms in space transport system, commonly known as space shuttle. Here the space shuttle, this is the space shuttle. So data acquired from the space station and space shuttle are used for scientific experiments. They are not available commercially or widely. So widely we have the data that is provided by the satellites only. So let's see how many types of satellites are there based on their altitude and orbit, or based on their altitude and orbit. There are two types of satellites. One is the sun synchronous satellite and the other is the geosynchronous satellite. So orbits may be of different kinds. Remote sensing satellites are placed on a spatial type of orbit that should maintain some characteristics. So if they can be, the plane that contains the Earth equator is known as the equatorial plane. So they are placed on an equatorial also, and they are, but these sun synchronous satellites are also known as polar satellites. These are the satellites which continuously cover the whole Earth on a regular basis. So these satellites are used to collect data about the natural resources or for the land use purpose. So the sun synchronous satellites have orbital plane that is near polar. These satellites passes over all places on the Earth. They covered full Earth on a regular basis, and the repetitive coverage on the periodic basis. So this is the satellite moving direction from north to south, and it continuously, and it is synchronized with the sun. That is why they are known as the sun synchronous satellites. So just see how the satellites keeps on moving from north to south, and as the Earth also rotates on its axis, so the satellites covers the whole. So the satellite covers the whole Earth. In this way, the synchronous satellite covers the whole Earth in around 22 days. Then the sun synchronous satellites and the satellite imagery taken by the sun synchronous satellite, it is shown here. Then based on their altitude, the second type of satellites are the geostationary satellites. Geostationary satellites, they are not the stationary satellites, but they are stationary in reference to the Earth. Like if the satellite is launched for the Indian subcontinent only, so the whole period of their life, they will see the Indian subcontinent only. So they are the equatorial satellites moving from west to east. So, and these satellites are placed at an altitude of 36,000 kilometer from the surface of the Earth. And in the sun synchronous satellites are at a distance of around 700 to 1200 kilometer from the Earth surface. But these geostationary satellites are at a distance of around 36,000 kilometer. That is why if there are three geostationary satellites, so three geostationary satellite can cover the whole Earth. Okay, always remember that geostationary, if there are three geostationary satellites, so these three geostationary satellites can cover the whole Earth. And the next characteristic of a geostationary satellite is that it is covering the same area day and night. It always see the same area, covers the same area, and but its coverage is limited to 70° north to 70° south latitudes. And one satellite can view, always remember, one satellite can view 1/3 globe. So these satellites, geostationary satellites, are commonly used for the communication and monitoring purposes. See the same satellite is revolving around the Earth, but seeing the same area. All through the day, it sees the same. It collects the information about the same area. So this is how the geostationary satellites revolve around the Earth. It is not that they are not revolving, they are revolving, but their position in reference to the Earth is stationary. That is why they are known as the geostationary satellites. So these are the geostationary satellites: NOAA of USA, Meteor of Russia, Meteosat of EMEOSAT, GOMS of Russia, INSET of India, FY2 of China, GMS of Japan. Okay, so these are the different geostationary satellites of different countries. So based on the type of reflected radiation, the remote sensors can be classified into two: the passive sensors and the active sensors. So the passive sensors are those sensors which uses the natural radiation like sun and we have no control over the source of electromagnetic radiation because the source is natural. So based on the source of energy, we have two types of sensors, passive sensors and the active sensors. So far, we have made various references to the sun as a source of energy or radiation. So the sun provides a suitable source of energy for remote sensing also. This energy is either reflected or is as it is for visible and reflective infrared wavelengths, or absorbed and then re-emitted as it is for thermal infrared wavelengths. Remote sensing systems which measure energy that is naturally available are called the passive remote sensing. So passive remote sensors can only be used to detect naturally occurring energy. Passive remote sensing within the optical range region can only take place during the time when the sun is illuminating the earth, because the sun is the natural source of energy. That is why no control over the source of electromagnetic radiation. So there is no reflected energy available from the sun at night. Energy which is naturally emitted can be detected day or night as long as the amount of energy is large enough to record. So passive remote sensing is also possible in the microwave region. Naturally emitted microwave energy can be recorded day or night, similar to the thermal remote sensing. Active remote sensors are those remote sensors which produce its own electromagnetic radiations. They illuminate a terrain on the Earth's surface, and the energy that they produce, the same energy is reflected back to the sensors, and they uh, record the same energy. So the scattered radiation sensed by the sensors. So the eyes passively senses the radiation reflected or emitted from the object. The sensing system depends on an external source of illumination. So this is the example of active sensors. So this is the example of active sensors, and this is the example of passive sensors. See, here the sensors are producing its own source of energy. They are the own source of energy, and for the illumination, the sensor emits radiation which is directed towards the target to be investigated. The radiation reflected from that target is then detected and measured by the sensor. So as I discussed in the last lectures, the advantage of for active remote sensor includes the ability to obtain measurements anytime, regardless day or night. So these sensors can obtain the information of objects or phenomena day and night. Active sensors can be used for examining wavelengths that are not sufficiently provided by the sun, such as microwaves, or to better control the way a target is illuminated. However, active systems requires the generation of a fairly large amount of energy to adequately illuminate targets. So the passive sensors, they depends on the sun. So this is the example of active and passive sensors. See, here in the passive sensors, the illuminating source is sun, the natural source. It illuminates the Earth's objects or the phenomena, and the sensors detect that energy and gather information about it. Then the active sensors, they produces its own energy and emit their own signals, and the sensor measures that what is reflected back. Okay, like the examples are the sonar and radar. So the sonar and radar are the examples of active sensors. Thank you. We'll be discussing the types of resolution in the next lecture.